Live from Pahrump, Nevada, the Valley of the Dirt People, it's Tech Talk, Taco Tuesday, with your hosts, Jimmy Lewis and Logan Tyler.
We're live. Look at that. We're live.
Yep.
And
Give me a second.
You want to see how much of my taco I have left? This much.
Yep.
That was it. I was almost done with Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. So, Logan, how was your... by the way, my name is Jimmy Lewis. I'm the host of this show. I am a washed-up ex-motorcycle racer. Now I can teach you how to be a better rider. And I do this very professional, well-engineered... It's well lit, by the way. Our set is well lit. We have a well lit set. No bullshit answers to your motorcycle and dirt bike related questions, product related questions, right, Logan?
Yes.
How was your week?
Good.
Good. Good. That's good. Got that check mark on that one, Matt? He's working on the sound over there. Matt also makes this show a little bit more professional than it used to be.
Yep.
Because I used to push all the buttons, and they usually take the first 5 minutes of the show to get us fired up. But I want to thank you for joining in. Oh, George is in there. He's got a new emoji that he popped into the chat room. A lot of different ways to communicate with us on this show, Logan. You probably have heard it 112 times now, I hope.
A little less, but yeah.
A little less, because you didn't do your research, and which ones did you miss?
Oh, yeah.
You've listened to every episode, end to end.
No.
Okay. Well, tell everybody how they can communicate with us, because I'm going to eat this last piece of taco. I'm going to move my mic out from here so you don't have to hear the crunching, and then tell everybody the different places they can do this podcast. I'll grade you on your result. And remember, bad results, it's going to get rough. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can go to the chat room live and also when it's posted, and also Jimmy at dirtbiketest.com. Email him at that.
Where is it live?
At YouTube, Twitch, Facebook.
Did you get us set up on Chit Chat yet?
I don't know what that is.
Dude, I know you know what it is. You probably post there like 7 times a day. How many followers do you have on that one?
I don't have it.
You really don't know what that one is?
No.
That's right. And I'm not going to tell you about my Grindr account either. So we'll just kind of keep it light here. But on that note, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. We're going to start with Taco Mike, who has a bike on the cover of Dirt Bike Magazine. So now Dirt Bike Test, which is much better than Dirt Bike Magazine. If you go to dirtbiketest.com on the internets, you'll see really good, solid information on bikes and testing. And if you go to Dirt Bike Magazine, they're going to, whatever their sponsors are, they're just going to glorify them. So we've got to go head-to-head with Dirt Bike ad guys. These are professionals, Matt. These guys have been doing it for a lot of years. Like, when did Dirt Bike come out? 71? And some of the guys have been there the whole time. So they're ancient professionals. Their techniques are set in stone.
Right.
So we need to come in with some newfangled advertising jingle, to lure a guy like Taco Mike. He's on the fence because he's a little bit older. He's my age, so you might be able to, swing him our direction. So, anyways, Scott Sports, makers of excellent Scott goggles.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that because Logan did a little research for me. Later, Trail Tech. They make awesome motorcycle instrumentation. Really good kickstands, by the way. I saw some posts on the KTM EXCFE performance thing on the Facebooks, and there was a couple threads about kickstands. And, of course, Pro Motobillet makes kind of these heavy-duty kickstands that replace your stock one, because the stock KTM kickstand is not meant to hold up, actually, just barely the weight of the bike. Like, you don't want to be climbing on and off your bike. But if you want one that's a little bit more robust, Trail Tech makes a really good option for that. It's a little bit less expensive. It's just a bolt-on. It's just a stock kickstand that's much stronger and looks way better. So that's Trail Tech. And they also make, what else they make? What's the big thing we need to talk about?
Voyager Pro and their aluminum case.
Yeah, the
for
new
it.
mount for the aluminum case. So check that thing out. If you have a Voyager Pro and you've had any problems with the docking on the standard mount because you're using it like you're supposed to, like off-road, ripping around, the aluminum mount makes a big deal. We always like DDC. Nate over at DDC has been helping me out with a lot of our big fleet of rental bikes for a long time. They make excellent sprockets that seem to never, ever wear out. One of my favorites, which one's that? What's my favorite gear?
Oh, Climb.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't take long to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Climb makes excellent off-road gear. Anytime I'm riding off-road, you can probably find me in Climb, as long as I'm not doing photos wearing somebody else's gear for the photos. But what good? I haven't been riding much. But I was riding where it was cool enough to get back into the windstopper gloves. And by far and away, the best windstopper gloves I've ever worn, and I'm not saying this just because Climb sponsors this show, it's because it's true. If you need some windstopper gloves, Climb makes an awesome windstopper glove. And I think they call it, now, that's how good I am at promoting this Inferno? No, I think the Inferno is the more snowboard or snowmobile glove. They have one that's a inversion. I want to call it inversion glove. I know it's getting colder in some parts of the country. The weather's changing. I rode in snow a week and a half ago. Oh, the first little drops of snow up in Washington. And I was very, very happy that I had Climb inversion windstopper gloves on.
Yep.
And then, of course, we have Yamaha, Blue Crew, makers of the fine new YZ 2-strokes. Mm-hmm. You know anything about those, Logan?
Yeah. Experience.
Oh,
He's
did it
ready.
say Is that the first word there?
Oh, alrighty.
No.
Hold on.
It's-
I need my counter.
Yeah.
Chat. Okay. I had to put out some fires with audio because when I joined the Zoom call, all the things we did before just went out the window.
Right.
So I'm here.
We don't
I'm
want to
mentally
teach anybody
present.
how to do a better show than us. Not that they would learn much here, but go ahead, Logan.
No, they're learning.
Experience.
You're gonna come back to this show and you're gonna just be yoked out from all the push-ups.
Hey, you still got to do yours from last show.
I'm-
Do you want to know what the official count was?
it was like 70 something. I heard
it was
it.
73.
73.
Yeah.
Some of them were well placed because my brain's going a million miles an hour on some of these questions, and I need to buy a little bit of time to put it all into perspective because I don't want to give you some just canned answer, and I think about it. So if I delay a little bit without saying anything,
Yeah.
it's dead air, and then I try to fill it up. Where
It's-
Logan,
it's
I've turned to Logan. He's ready to do his thing.
he did practice.
He'd practiced, and he went back to the two words that we're going to get penalized for saying. So we'll try it one more time.
Experience pure performance and exhilarating power with a full lineup of Yamaha YZ 2-stroke bikes. Visit YamahaMotorsports.com today to explore what's new for 2022. The re-revised 125 YZ125 makes for the perfect step-up machine, featuring all-new engine, revised 6-speed transmission, new brakes, and new suspension settings, improved rider ergonomics, and new aggressive styling, and more. The YZ250 also delivers improved rider ergonomics, new front and rear brakes, updated suspension settings, and aggressive styling. For a truly race-inspired look, check out the YZ250 and YZ125 Monster Energy Yamaha Racing Editions. And for the next generation of riders, the YZ65, YZ85, and YZ85 LW delivers big bike specs in a smaller package. Visit YamahaMotorsports.com, find your Yamaha YZ, and enter Victory Zone today.
Excellent. Started right off the top, the way you're
we
supposed
go.
to. Yeah, It was like you were on strike too.
Yeah.
that was like baseball, and you'd swung and missed a couple times, but that was good.
But he clutches up.
Okay, so what's the first segment of this show that we do? Where do we go to? We go to these questions here.
Yes, first segment. It's we're still working on a name, but we're just gonna start calling. We're gonna box what we've done and put them into specific segments with names.
Right.
But we didn't come up with a name for this before we went live.
Are you ready to read these questions?
Yes.
The question on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday number 111 from Husky Hauler.
Yep. My idea for content to increase viewership, have your audience send in short videos of their bikes for Rooster Endo, showing their mods and why they did them. Winner gets a Jimmy Lewis off-road class. Husaberg 570s should be excluded.
Well, he just went down.
He ruined his own idea.
Yeah. Why are we beating up on Husaberg 570s? I mean, unless you've had to work on one, there's no reason not to like the Husaberg 570 a lot. Yeah, work on it a lot or ride it a lot. Have your audience send in short videos. Well, we could try it. I mean, if somebody has a good video that they don't say, it'd be, Logan, here's how you do your video of your bike. Let's pretend this is my bike right here. Mm-hmm. And he's taped down, so he can't do backflips and stuff anymore.
Yeah, so it doesn't fall off.
So here's my video. I'm going to practice.
Okay.
That's
another one for the
I got the forks are by, hold on, Pro
Don't show me, show the camera.
Chopping. Show the camera?
Yeah.
I was trying to show you.
Okay.
So show you what you're going to get. Well,
I can walk here.
actually, hold on. Is that the so which I'm at that camera?
That
okay,
one.
hold on.
There
Here's how it would be done. Like if you're watching the show live, I'm going to show you how it would actually be done live. And if I go this way, no, I got to go this way. It would be done. I'm going to knock wires over, and we won't have any more sound. But it would be done kind of like this, like over here. It's like this is how it would actually be done. They'd be pointing over here.
They can't see you right now.
I know that's how.
Okay, got it.
That's how the video would. That's the video we would get.
Yeah.
Because
you're right.
We're professionals and we have a hard time standing in front of the right camera.
Right.
So
my beta testers would be able to do this though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Those people are actually going to school to ride motorcycles, so they're smart people.
Yes.
But I think the people. Okay, Logan, you know what? You have to do. This is your homework assignment for this show. You have to do us a Rooster Endo video of your bike.
Okay.
The one that your dad bought you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that one. You have to do a Rooster Endo. Look at Travis. He's up in the front of the seat now. He's jacked up. Yeah, we could try that. That might be. You know what? I don't know everything, and I'm well open to advice like that. That might be kind of cool. Little videos. Can we actually integrate them into the show?
Oh yeah, there's ways to integrate them.
So when you're doing it, make sure that you remember that this is also a podcast, and so you have to talk about your bike the whole time. We can't have a lot of dead air if you just, unless you have super hot chicks behind your bike. How many female viewers do we have right now? Can you go look in the demographics?
It's not very high.
Okay,
I can tell you from.
So Logan, if you had just saying, if you had a super hot chick in your bike, then you can have all the dead air that you want, and but the podcast viewers wouldn't like that.
No.
So that's what made Transworld. They merged those two things together, and I don't know. I never when I was the editor of a magazine, I never went down that avenue because there's no way we could do girls as good as a magazine that does girls. And when I looked at Transworld, and I guess I'm just kind of a geek, and I was actually looking at the bike, but there was a girl standing behind it. I'm like, if I looked at the girl, I'm like, that's like an 8. You know, it wasn't. You could tell that girl was, and it's unfortunate. I mean, some of the girls, actually, some of them are good, but it's like, do what you do. Don't fake it. That's kind of what we do here all the time. So I should take my own damn advice. Like, you should try to be really good at one thing, and not try to blend two things or try to like, hey, and we got letters all the time from guys like, I wish you'd put girls in your magazine. And I'm like, but you know, like, what do you know, oh, it's because, well, my wife will let me have this magazine with motorcycles in it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can't help you. So do what you're good at, right, Logan?
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, if somebody wants to send in videos with girls in them, we won't judge you. Like we'll probably watch it, right, Matt?
Yeah, we'll
Maybe.
watch it. We'll put it on. No, please include hot chicks in it because that'll bump viewership up.
Hey, we haven't tried that yet. We brought cats in. We've opened boxes. What else do we do?
Taco hat,
Taco hat. We tried all the things to get better viewership.
more sponsors.
We need to have girls. I always said if I had boobs, my Instagram account would be booming. And I kind of do, but they're not the right kind. Okay, next question.
You just need to shave them.
Jeremy Franklin. Great show, guys. Thanks.
Well, obviously he isn't listening right now. So that's our fault. Let's move on.
Ray
It's
Harrison.
part of our charm.
Was this the question you were talking about?
No, we don't talk about any of the questions.
No.
Just read the
Matt.
question. Oh, Matt, what
Yeah.
did he warn you or something?
No
Yeah.
comment.
No comment.
Okay, so this is what it says. Ray Harrison. The hydraulic clutch on my.
Yeah, we're not going to chalk that
200.
one up to you. No, that you're doing your job. You're reading it.
Yeah.
Yep. That was put in there. Ray, good job. That was you.
That was good.
It was. We laughed our asses off when we got this question. I'm still laughing. So go ahead.
Is beginning to drag, especially when cold. When everything is up to temperature, things are fine. I've done all the proper maintenance, and still there is no way to adjust for free play. Which components do you think is failing? I guess that's it.
All right, Ray, I'm going to answer your question seriously because that's a good question. I'm guessing that since it's cold, I'm going to guess two things. So number one, you may be running too thick of an oil in your transmission. And a lot of times there's nothing wrong with running motor oil in a motorcycle transmission, but there are better fluids for it. There's actually specific transmission fluid and specific motorcycle transmission fluid. And on certain bikes with picky clutches, and I'll tell you from experience, and I probably have more KTM 200 hours than most, the KTM 200 is not one of those bikes. So, but I went straight to oil because that's kind of the easiest thing. If you are running like some kind of a heavier, thicker motor oil, if you're in cooler climates, this could cause some of the drag. And the fact that it kind of goes away when it heats up makes me less suspicious of the next thing I'm going to say, which is warped plates. And so if you've gotten the clutch really hot, and oftentimes if you pull it apart, which is so easy to do on those bikes, take the 10 minutes to pop it off and look at the plates. If your steel plates are blued, if they have like a blue or they've gone to a brown or God forbid, a black color, it's gotten way too hot. And so sometimes in the KTM clutches, they're actually so good that they can actually get pretty, we'll call it fried, and still grip and work. They get a lot more grabby initially. Sometimes they squeal. But what has happened is at some point those plates have got hot enough to where it's caused them to warp a little bit. And that could be causing some drag also. And like you say, the hydraulic clutch kind of self-compensates. So maybe you don't have the level of feel. But the other thing I would check is that I would change the fluid in the line also, because when in my experience, sometimes when the fluid starts getting bad, it tends to attract more air, and the air can get in there, and maybe you'll find that there's a seal or something that's bad in there. But also, that sometimes when the fluid's bad, I don't even know. Actually, where's Chris Reel? He can probably explain this a little more technically. But sometimes when it seems like the fluid maybe cavitates easier or gets air in it, and then when the bike starts up and vibrates, and it basically shakes the air out of the system. So maybe it's more of a leak in there someplace that air is able to get in there. Maybe at the seal down at the bottom, and then because I know that I've had bikes that you had to pump the clutch a few times before it actually started working, and so maybe just pumping it a few times would eliminate that problem. So those are the ideas that I have on your clutch, Ray. Good question. I have an answer to a question that was also asked on one of the forums I saw, because there was a guy that wanted to know how to tell if his clutch was slipping, and we've talked about this before, but we'll get to that later. Put that in the notes someplace. Logan, next question.
Chris is in the chat, by the way.
If you overfill the transmission, it will make the
Oh, yeah, the peanut gallery says if you overfill the transmission, that can cause some of the drag as well. But yeah, it would take longer to warm the oil up, and then and it has to evacuate. Yeah, and usually you look at a bike, and if you let's say you've had it sitting upright, and then you lay it over real quick, and you pull the clutch cover off, and you see that it seems like the level that they like to have it is, so it just barely goes into the basket. It doesn't really like fill up the back of the basket. And if you're overfilling it, like my taco delivery guy just said, it was a good thing, so I'm not going to give him credit for it. No credit is due. If you overfilled it and then more oil would leak into that, then all that oil has to, when that clutch starts spinning, that oil like starts trying to get its way out, and then that could be causing, because in reality the clutches can kind of run dry, and they do to a certain extent because they're spinning all the time. And certain bikes they force the oil down the center, but it's a metered amount of oil so that it's not going to cause a problem. It's not a ton of oil all at once. Again, here's us just kind of theorizing on the many different problems you could have with your clutch. So,
First laps on the 2022 YZ250.
yeah, that's Trevor Hunter's little video.
Max RPM. I really liking the YZ250, and it sounds like my KX250 2006.
Sounds nothing like that.
No.
Sounds nothing.
No.
Nothing. I am a connoisseur of the noise of a motorcycle, and the old KX250. What was funny was I remember the KX250s. I used to race them back in the day, and I liked the last steel frame Kawasaki 2-strokes. They were good bikes for about a year and 3/4, and then you were just chasing a vibrating monster. But man, did they sound horrible for how good they worked. They have a ratty sound where I promise you that Yamaha has the crisp bark or snap to it that you could, every once in a while you could get a Honda jetted like a new Yamaha. Back in the day, you could get a Honda, like it was almost, you had to have a factory bike. But I'm going to disagree with you, Max RPM, unless you're living up to your name and you're just screaming it so hard that it's up into over rev. And then they all 2-strokes sound like crap when they're up there anyways. So that's just my take on it.
2019 Honda Sierra 450X long-term wrap-up. Luke, how is the power compared to the Sierra 250R?
Okay, so originally, it's funny when I saw this, I'm a core dirt biker, and how could anybody even ask this question? Like 250 power compared to 450 power. We get this a little bit more when we go into like KTM 500 versus 350, but I think we have that someplace, don't we, Matt? Is there a question?
So we're there, yeah.
We'll get there. Okay. So you're comparing two different kinds of bikes, and I initially go like, what? And then I kind of roll back and I go, wait a minute. There's a lot of people that are just brand new to this game, like learning dirt bikes, and like what they really, really don't know. And they're turning to us because they want to know. And if he went and watched this video long enough, he's actually he's curious about it, because we kind of upped the power a little bit in that bike with the muffler and a fuel tuner and got it really good. But now how is the power compared to a CRF 250R? So bikes in different categories. The X is more of an off-road. It starts out as an emission-compliant bike. And then R goes into full-on race bike, motocross bike, no emissions compliancy. And I started going, well, how much does he want to know about this? And because like peak power-wise, I'll bet you stock 450X and stock 250R are pretty similar in peak power. Now, torque, especially on the lower end of the scale, massive difference. And that's kind of the same with any 250 versus 450 comparison. But he says, how is the power? And when they say power, I always wonder, do you want to look at a dyno chart or do you want to know what's really going to push you forward? You know, like how are you going to use this? What is your, like, what's your skill level? I'll bet you, I'd say, and I'm counting going to when I go to the motocross track and stuff like that. When I watch people ride, especially on the 450s, you know, they're using 1/3 of the available power, you know, the total amount. And I went to Sandy Valley. I was out riding out on Friday night or Saturday night a couple of weeks ago, and I rode by there. And I just pulled on alongside of the fence, and I was watching guys ride by, and I was blown away by everybody that was completely afraid to rev their bike. You know, they were coming out of a turn and going over a big tabletop, and then like there's guys that were not clearing the tabletop. And I bet you they go back to the truck and they were thinking, if my bike had a little more power, I could clear this tabletop. And I was like, if you would let it rev a little bit farther up in the power band, be a gear lower, and, you know, let it rev and pull you, it would clear it. I know this. I cleared on a 125, and I'm a fat guy. So, it's interesting when we get these kind of questions about, like, you know, how is the power compared? So the 450X has a ton, to answer your question simply, probably like 450 has more power. That'd be the standard answer you'd get, I guess. But it's not really that much more power, but the usable power for most riders is probably much higher on the 450X. And especially if you're talking about a current CRF 250R, except for the new year, like last year's CRF 250R, the 2021 and 2020 and earlier, that's a high-strung motor. That motor makes very little torque, and you really have to rev it. So unless you really like revving it, there's no comparison in power. That's it. Did I do a good job answering that question?
I think you did.
Okay.
You covered it. Pretty
Covered
well.
it. Covered the subject.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I get paid for.
The big guy on the 125 was your strongest point.
Uh-huh. I'm going to make the big guy smaller guy. I can still run pretty good for a big guy, though, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people at this event we were at, I can't talk about it too much. They were very upset about some of the terrain, you know?
Yeah, I'm like a
mountain goat.
mountain hippo. Like a mountain hippo. Yeah. Got good claws, like kind of like a bighorn sheep, and emphasis on the big.
So
Yeah.
a bighorn sheep and a mountain hippo. That's what you are?
Right. Currently.
Okay.
Currently.
Okay.
I'm going to try to.
Have you been riding near the test site specifically where it's super radioactive?
Nope.
Okay.
But I tell you what, I have a plan for my weight loss program, my increased training and modified eating diet. I have a plan for it, but we have those fires over in California that are blowing smoke over here, and so it's just like it's not healthy. So I just didn't do it.
No, yeah, I haven't been able to run much either. Yeah. So wait, is this eating plan? Is it actually a drinking plan?
I haven't. I do not commenting on the actual plan right now. It's part of the Jimbo program. This is something you can sign up for. It's
where at?
I haven't. It's like secret. You have to get in the club first. The Jimbo program is like an all-inclusive training program that I've been on my entire life.
Okay.
And it's kind of like what was that other? There was a guy, he copied my name and then got famous. He was Tybo or something like that. He made a program. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think but see he introduced some rubber bands. He just faked it out and he said it's all about like some rubber bands or something, and then sold some pills and then made a cassette video you put in your thing. Yeah, so I haven't done that yet, but it's coming. It's all my marketing team's working on it.
I am your marketing team, though.
Oh, well, I'll tell you about it soon.
Okay, sounds good.
2021 Yamaha Tenere 700 full test. Covey Yoves. Buffering, not buffering, lol, cheers.
So he's making a joke, but he needed to read up about 733 comments above that, and somebody else brought that up. And so if you looked at what show did we talk about this in, Logan?
Probably in the 80s.
Okay. Yeah, we actually talked about this because, like, he's picking on my wife, I think, because I think she used that word in that video. Buffering.
Buffering?
Yeah.
Does she mean buffeting?
Yeah, just like he's buffeting, not buffering. So we said buffering, and he said we need buffeting. It's kind of like when the wind comes over the windscreen and kind of catches your visor, kind of a thing.
Boats do it.
Yeah, so that's what we had going on there. It's. I mean, you know what? When a bike is so good and we're talking about the Tenere right now. When a bike is that good, and we only say that because Yamaha sponsors the show. Do we have any Tenere reeds yet?
No.
No, they don't have to because they're sold out because they're so awesome. You can't get one. Have you asked Big John if you can ride his yet?
I already did.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
I think I did.
You're
but
buying time? Are you buying time to think of an excuse?
He is not reading off a script, so he is filling the airspace.
Yeah, that was true.
Using your
Yeah, it's a technique. I know. This is a technique you do not want to pick up from me.
Yeah.
So
We wanna
I
practice
haven't
perfect.
seen Big John. He's been avoiding me. Is he afraid to go riding, or is he in jail?
I don't know.
How did you get to ride his bike?
When he first got it, he brought it over.
Oh, okay, good. So you've ridden a Tenere too. You're experienced.
Yes.
Next question.
They're fast, huh?
Yeah.
What he's rode, they're fast.
Oh yeah.
For anything he's ever ridden.
No, he's ridden 1090. Have I put you on 1090 before?
Nope.
Oh, you're a chicken.
He hasn't ridden a 570 or a 1090. How is he even an instructor?
Yeah, you're gonna go back. You know, remember when we used to put you on the TTR 125 all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to work your way up.
2021 KTM 390 mod and long-term test. Mad Raz. Any idea where I can buy a fuel pump as a spare for 390 Adventure? Mine broke after just 500 kilometers, and the estimated arrival time is more than 2 months. Even if it is replaced under warranty, I still won't want to have one, just in case, as the original one is faulty. Cheers.
Well, interesting. I've not heard that that's a problem, but then again, I don't really troll the internets for this kind of stuff. But man, I don't know as a spare. So, okay, so he's saying that he wants to buy a spare one, and even though his hasn't broken yet, so it has broken.
Yeah, 500.
Mine broke after just 500 kilometers, but okay. Well, if you need a replacement, even if it's replacement, I don't know. I would guess that you'll be able to find that someplace on the internets somehow.
Yeah, there's several companies now selling the entire assembly.
But this is for a KTM 390, not a 350 or not one of the dirt bike ones.
They're different.
I would suspect they're much different. But a fuel pump is a fuel pump is a fuel pump. You're just trying to compress the fuel. And I have seen where even though the hosing and the mounting fixtures might be the same, generally the piece inside of the gas tank is a very standardized piece, oftentimes, throughout the brand. And I'm sure if you talk to a knowledgeable person, like if this happened to me, I would try to find, someone, probably a good dealer, a good mechanic at a dealership that's done and worked on these. And if it is a problem, if it truly is a problem, and it generally when something's back ordered and 2 months back ordered, it's a problem of some magnitude. Because if it was just normal failure rate, KTM would have the parts in stock. But the other thing is, or at least in the United States they will. You mentioned kilometers, and we don't use those that often here. So yeah, kilometers are what I use when I talk about distance. But all you people, you guys using what are you using, like furlongs and measuring things based on based on how long your thingamajig is. So maybe in your country it's a little bit different. But anyways, I would ask someone who's seen a couple different ones out of different models of that thing. Are they the same? And then if they are kind of the same, is the part that's broken in yours, which is generally the rotor or something in there, can I just take that one from another one or another one? And then if you find out it's from this one or that one, you might be able to find like an aftermarket one, or you can go on. I would post this over on advrider.com. They used to. I don't troll there that often anymore, but they always have had a very knowledgeable base. And if this question is that important, you can even go through all of the comments that with the ridiculous advice, bring me back to that clutch question. But I wouldn't post it on Facebook because ADV Rider was you're going to have to read 4 bad posts to get one good one at my last assessment of it. Where on Facebook, you're going to get 1 out of 10 of the responses will be good. And then then it's like, because you're going to get a lot of comments on it, it's going to repeat itself. And then it'll be 1 out of 20 and then 1 out of 50 on the same post. But, yeah. And then if like I said, if you have one under warranty, you're going to get that one, but then you may have figured it out. And then if you do figure out a good solution, then you know it. And here's the problem with a lot of us that figure out things based on good solutions. Like we figure out the solution and then we go on our merry way. And because you're not, but if you ever harvest information that's good information, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here is try to pass on good information. And I do not know the answer to this question, but I'm kind of telling you my thought process on how Logan would go figure it out, right?
Kind of.
No,
I know. Yeah, that was good.
That's good.
No, because we've done this before. Logan's translated stuff for me. Mm-hmm. When the names, I put names in cryptic languages up here and hieroglyphics and stuff, and he knows how to do this kind of stuff. But you can, if you do a little bit of common sense searching on a lot of these problems, unlike Mojave Bob, who goes and finds he never uses the internet, by the way. He doesn't even know how to use the internet, but he manages to know all of the bad things that are going on the internet and asks me if I know about them. So yeah, they don't know how you know this stuff. Yeah. Okay, he's raising his hand.
Do you remember Kibo?
Kibo.
Kibo?
No, what's Kibo?
KTM Intergalactic Backorder.
KTM Intergalactic Backorder. I never had it. In all of my years of KTM stuff, I've never had a real backorder issue with KTM stuff. There were certain things like I remember the 250 cylinders for a while were a big deal back in the 1990s.
That was
but
when it was called Kibo.
oh yeah, I forgot that. I try to move on because it's a whole different company now. Remember they went bankrupt.
Right.
That's why I wasn't riding them anymore. That's why I rode green bikes. My factory KTM contract came to an abrupt end.
Oh, right.
Hey, they had to get rid of me somehow, right? So
Rubber check, huh?
okay, hey, you know what? The what's this called, Logan?
Hotel California.
That's California. That's how you spell it. California.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's okay. He's still getting back. That year of school that they missed was rough. So this is the tequila Matt are going to have tonight. This is a Reposado, and it's actually got a really nice bottle. And I picked this up mostly because of the bottle. I have a friend that collects bottles, and I like to get them. But I wanted to try the tequila, so me and Matt will have this. And Logan's going to move on to the next question.
You're gonna have to show me the label because is it just California or is it California?
I think it's
the same way I spell California.
Yeah, it's just California, Logan.
the fancy lettering got me wrong.
Yeah, it's such a fancy label it threw him off, and a red bottle too.
Yeah,
By the way,
remember, the fancy bottle is hiding something.
that's you should
Yeah, stick to dirt bikes, Bob.
yeah yeah. Well,
Right.
Bob, you should go get me a fancy bottle of tequila that looks really plain and is very expensive to prove me wrong. So that's
When are
what
we gonna break into the box?
one of these
That's
days.
on top of a shelf.
There you go, Matt. Don't spill. Yeah. Okay. Next question, Logan.
Jason, what do you think a rider weight limit would be on something like the 390?
Oh, that's a good question. Weight limit. I mean, so I would guess that bike, if you're over 250 pounds, you're going to have a hard time finding springs for that bike that would hold it up. And then especially considering that bike, if you load it up, it's a little bit heavier and all this other stuff. So I would just guess, and I'm sure there's a printed weight limit on it at some point or another. They will have to have it because it's a street vehicle. But if you're talking about like riding it with stock springs, I'm at 200 and so probably 215 with my gear on, and I'm at the limit of where the stock springs are. I mean, I can kind of be careful and go around it, but I think it's sprung for a 170-pound person is my guess, the standard spring. But once you get up over 200, you're kind of taxing it. But if you're just cruising it, it's not going to be a problem. But the minute you go off road, you will feel that thing move through the stroke, and it will bottom out with that extra weight on it. And it actually may be higher because it has a pillion on it for a second rider. But I think they're doing it based on I would say world-sized riders, not American-sized riders, which means just cut the weight in half. In my world, I'm double the weight of the average other person, I think.
So, Bill H. I love the review. As Adventures Matt stated, I ride mine within its limitations, and it's a blast.
He's talking about the KTM 390 again. Yep.
Yes. I did change the rear tire to TK70 Rocks.
And that tire is like 10% more aggressive than the stock tire, but still not a real aggressive off-road tire. But it is a slight improvement over the stock one. Not much, but something.
Also added a rear skid plate. I just took it on the Utah BDR, and it did fantastic. But the old mining trails in Colorado is my primary
stomping grounds.
Yes. And it will take me just about anywhere I want to go. And on these trails, you'll never see a large adventure bike ever. And you shouldn't. Single track over rocky ground and steep sections are no problem if you have the off-road skills.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because if you read all the comments on our KTM 390 video, and they're all over the place, people are saying we ride it too aggressively, and that's not what it's designed for. And that if you spend, in the modified video, if you spend that much money on a bike that's like this, you've already wrecked it. But you're making something that's yours, and we're testing it. Like, that's why we're called Dirt Bike Test. We're not called Adventure Bike Test. Even though I do own that domain name, I should just utilize it. And we're not called Street Bike Test, even though I do own that domain name and I should utilize it. Anybody want to run Street Bike Test for me? I got a business model for you. It's killing it here. I mean, like, we're having to turn money away. That's how good it is these days. So, but they make this bike, and it's a good fit, and there's the CRF 250L, it's another one, and there's all these different kinds of bikes that are capable of doing what you want to do. And a lot of times the problem is that you have a specific need, and your specific need is outside of the target market audience, and so your bike will require some modifications. And he's even going with a tire that I would absolutely not recommend to do Colorado mining trails, and he's having a great time. So good. I mean, I know that if you put a slightly more aggressive tire on it, he would be able to have way more fun on those Colorado mining trails from a performance perspective and not suffer that much on the road. So that's Kenda. I'm wearing a Kenda shirt, right? Kenda Big Blocks. Yeah, did that slip out? Matt, we need to talk to the Kenda guy.
Yeah, I'll put them on my list.
They help me out with my riding schools. They make awesome tires. And
we're still waiting to hear back from Seat Concepts first.
okay, One thing at a time, right?
One thing at a time.
So I always say. That's right. When that TKC 70 rocks wears out, which it won't, it'll take a long time because it's a good long wearing tire. And Continental makes the TKC 80, which is the one that's very much like the Kenda Big Block. And I kid you not, if you're riding that thing on the dirt as much as I think you are doing a BDR, go with those tires. And the next time you go into that slippery, slimy mud that's in the rut of the wheel rut after it rains, you'll thank me. Next question.
2019 Yamaha WR 450F.
That's
impression.
a Blue Crew bike.
Yes. Joe Doyle. Still waiting for that WR versus CRF X review, Jim. Maybe even include the RMX.
Where's Jim?
You.
Oh, Jim's in Utah. Yeah, he doesn't write for Dirt Bike Test. Jimmy on the other hand, for the I think no, we did the FX versus RX versus KTM XCF that year. And the RMX. What is the RMX? They still make that? Is it? I know it's the Suzuki. Is Jim stuck in 2019? Did his world stop spinning? I don't know. I mean,
He fell off his train.
I don't know that comparison could take place. The WR versus CRFX could currently take place, and then we could probably throw in like a KTM XCFW because I believe those are back in the lineup again. But sometimes like we move on to the next year and then we forget about the stuff that we were going to do, and a lot of times we don't do the stuff we were going to do based on time or bike availability. And bike availability right now is a big issue. Like people are going, how come you're not riding all the new bikes? Or how come you don't have how come you only have a riding impression of the new bike? And it's because they only have enough bikes to give everybody a riding impression on. And like in the old days, they used to, let us take them for a little while to test them. And we will not, quote, test a bike if we can only ride it for one day, because that's not really a test, even though most other outlets will do a whole feature story on it. But, I mean, what do you know? The spokes hardly even get loose, right, Logan? On the first day of riding?
Yeah.
And then after a week, what happens?
Just ask my dad.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the co-host on the show. Right. So you have spokes,
Yes.
and then they come
Loose.
and then what happens?
They fall out?
Did any? Did they?
No.
No, none of them fell out.
Never mind my bike.
No, not in your bike.
No.
What about the one he was riding? Did he never check the spokes on?
No, I checked those spokes.
Oh,
They're shitty spokes.
okay. We're going with shitty spokes.
spokes.
Okay. I'm going with improper. I'm going with excessive use and improper maintenance schedule.
No, I'm telling you, I did the maintenance on that bike.
I believe you a little bit.
Oh, no,
Hey, I got some W wheels.
I saw them.
How nice are those?
Cherry.
Those so cherry.
Looking
Those things have 200 miles on them, and I went and checked the spokes. Perfect. Yeah.
My new KTM doesn't do that. Those were.
Oh, you got a Friday wheel. They happen. What?
So.
Does that mean attention?
Yes.
that was an attention, Matt. Don't count that one.
Dad, if you
Got
don't
it.
remember, we switched wheels. Day one.
I know, but I check your wheels.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're having a father son who thrashed the bike more
No, I mean,
route here. This is good.
so new wheels.
Yeah.
Loganator.
Yeah, the Loganator just destroying. I don't know how you do it. You're not that heavy. I think it's lack of maintenance, bro. Okay, let's move on.
So the 2020 Husqvarna 501 test video.
This is a year newer, but still a couple of years out. Let's go.
John Fryman. Uncork and Vortex makes for much better power delivery. If you don't want the horsepower of a 500 by 350.
Okay, so here we are. This is coming. This is exactly the same comment in my mind as the guy who says which makes more power, a 450X or a 250R. This is the same. He's just telling you straight up. He's saying uncork and Vortex. Well, I should get Taco Mike. Can we get Taco Mike on the phone really quick?
If you call him.
Because
Actually, I can send him a Zoom link.
send him a Zoom. See if we can get him on here. Because I want to ask. It's probably not the best for business, but it is. You know, actually the good thing about Taco Mike is, and the reason we found him, is because he did this thing called a white sheet, where he actually he very accurately pointed out the advantages and disadvantages of doing the modifications on different. It was the KTM EXC, the 500 EXC line, and it was the first time I'd seen a guy who was selling aftermarket stuff so blatantly basically write down the truth. Like, you do need this and you don't need this. If you need this, you need this and don't need this. And I'm like, hey, there's finally, and that's what brought his attention to me. Somebody pointed out to me, and I'm like, okay, good. And now he probably sells more ECUs and Vortexes and Gets and dyno jets and all this other stuff and pipes and mufflers and all this other stuff. And I mean, good for him. I mean, it's great. But the reason I'm holding back, I mean, it'd be interesting if we can actually get him on the horn.
I just sent it to him. So
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Because
hopefully he's in the chat.
he was earlier. I saw a comment that looked like it came from him. It said Facebook user. I think that might have been him. But he was on the ride when I was on that particular bike with a few other dudes that had just had their bike, all good riders. They'd all had their bikes heavily modified, all different states of modifications. And I rode his back and forth and kind of came back with like, okay, it lost some rideability. For sure it makes more power. It lost some rideability. And I'm big about rideability. You know this if you listen to all the stuff that I spew out all the time. And if we can't address the situation, we need to address it on another issue of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Will do.
So
Do you want to make a note of it really quickly on a sheet there? So I keep those sheets.
right, okay, Logan, you make a note of that. I will. I'll make a note of it, and you move on to the next question because it's a good story. It's really interesting, good story.
All-wheel drive adventure bike. Mugu. A hub motor powered by...
Wait, someone's named Mugu?
M-U-G-U.
Mugu. Yeah, that's Mugu, all right. But I mean, so Mrs. Goo named her son Moo. I mean, you could have thought of something better, right? Or it's like, oh, we're gonna just go with 2 letters. It's simple. It's not hard to spell.
Yeah.
Okay.
A hub motor powered by the engine at the front would make more sense. No need to be that powerful.
So Mugu actually makes a very good point that in a front-wheel drive motorcycle, an all-wheel drive motorcycle, that the front wheel does not need to be that powerful because all you're trying to do is to kind of keep it from digging in and then aid traction when you start losing traction, and it doesn't take that much power to do this. So, yeah, but a hub motor powered by the engine at the front would make sense. Well, I guess a gear set inside of the hub.
Speaking of Zoom,
Sure, how
Yeah.
do you do that?
Is powered by that. Oh, what, that Trevor kid?
Trevor just entered the waiting room.
Oh yeah, the waiting room.
Yeah.
The waiting room. We should bring him in. We got one more. Oh, wait a minute.
One more.
You know what? This guy named Matt Mattoon asked a question. He's trying to fix his Husaberg 300. Let's get to Matt. I mean, let's get to Trevor. Is Trevor wearing a dress?
I don't know. We're about to
Find out. Yeah, he's checking his Zoom connections in there.
Hold on. I need
Those
to
mandatory?
get my phone to leave.
No dresses. We're going to try to get your sound level corrected here. But hey, Trevor, welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Thanks
Okay,
for having
now
me.
And Logan wants to say one word to you. You know how, you know how many push-ups you have to do after you have to do a push-up every time you say that word here.
Uh-oh.
We try to just get straight to the answer. We're trying to be professional podcasters, and that's a bad word. And like drawing out to buy some time, like I do all the time. I go
Yeah.
yeah,
You got a lot of push-ups.
yeah, right, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. I'm keeping account for myself as well.
Hey,
Respect for excellence.
no mountain bike races this night.
No, racing is over. kind of.
But it was an award ceremony.
Yeah. So they normally do it on like the final night of racing, whatever, but the scoring whatever crashed, so they couldn't get results and stuff. So they should a couple weeks later.
So you're the champion?
I won in my heart. That's official.
See,
Won in
Logan,
my
it's not
heart.
that easy. You won your division.
No, I won. I was first place in my heart.
Oh, first place in your heart. That's
Fourth place on the track.
right. We try, only to deal with champions around here, and we don't really want to talk about racing, but we've heard it's alleged that you know everything about the new 2022 Yamaha YZ250 two-stroke.
That may be correct.
It may be correct,
Maybe
but
correct.
but you can't talk about it until Thursday when you're going to release the full test out on Dirt Bike Test.
Exactly. Yes.
Which I dare anybody to go look at all the different riding impressions. This is putting a lot of weight on your shoulders, Trevor, by the way. I dare people to go on to a Dirt Bike Test, read our test, and then read some of the other stuff that's on the other guys' things. Because we all are held back by an embargo, and we get to release it kind of at the same time. So, so since we can't talk about it, like let's just imagine. I'm trying to adjust the volume here. Let's just imagine that. What do they talk about? What are the big changes? Because they've released all the changes. Everybody knows about what the changes are.
The changes are in the styling. It's like the airbox, all the plastics and the gas tank are all different, and the subframe, because of the airbox and the new seat mount, whatever you want to call it, is different. There's another one. And then and then the rear brake is now the same as the new 4-strokes. So it's like a smaller rear caliper and smaller rear rotor. And I have to check if the front was changed or not. And then the suspension settings are the valving.
It says it is.
And
Logan
the springs.
Logan here knows all about this because he has a script that he reads, and he says that it is changed.
The front on the 250 has changed.
Yeah, it's changed.
That's what I thought. So yeah, front and rear brakes, suspension. They went up a spring rate, front and rear, and stiffer valving, and then the styling and subframe and tank.
Yeah, so I tell you what everybody's really thinking about that bike. It looks way more bitchin', right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think so? You saw it. You rode it allegedly
Maybe.
a lot.
And like how it looks like it sitting on it would be a lot more comfortable and maybe slimmer and just like a really modern ergonomic riding position.
Because when I ride my 2005 YZ125, which is the same as the 2021 YZ125 as far as the seat and the gas tank and everything like that, it has an old feel to it. It has like the seat has a dish and it's kind of cupped and it doesn't feel like the new 4-strokes that tend to be like flatter. So I would really suspect that new bike, and you can probably like nod your head in a certain direction, that like that riding position is like more what we're used to, more what we expect.
Yeah, I'll say after riding my bike again, before and after, or allegedly after riding the new one, or maybe just looking at the new one. I don't know.
Did you take your bike out there?
I did not.
Oh, but you rode it the next day or something.
I've ridden it, and I rode it like 2 days before, and then I rode it after, and I've ridden it enough that.
Is it for sale?
It could be for sale.
Yeah, Trevor has a really nice YZ, and they're hard to get right now, by the way. And unless you have a deposit on your new one, you're probably going to have a hard time getting it. So,
yep.
So it's I'm sensing that the bike will have an improved rider comfort department thing.
Yes. I say mine does feel older. Just, I don't know, it just feels older now. Even though I didn't realize it before.
Let me tell you one other thing that's interesting about like Yamahas, and out of all the motorcycle manufacturer companies, these guys make more stink out of airbox designs and airboxes and do more different stuff than anybody out there. I remember back in the old days when I was your age, they came out with a white airbox. The airbox on the motorcycle was white, and they said it was for improved cooling of the air that was going to go into the motor. And then your current boss, a guy named Terry Beal, had to convince me when they went back to the black airbox that the black airbox was an improvement from the white airbox.
Why was that?
Well, because the white one was better than the black one. So how could you go back to the black one and say it was better than the white one? They did without changing anything other than the color. We're talking about airboxes, by the way. I don't want anybody to get confused. So this is an all new designed airbox.
Yeah, I didn't get to pull the seat off or anything like that and look up close, but I did look at the intake, I guess, on the underside of it, and it did look a little different. And then just how it's shaped and everything, it looks quite a bit different. And then by the rear fender and the seat and the side panels, where the air can flow into is quite a bit different too.
And just in my experience with the bikes and design and stuff like that, having like the YZ250 of all the 252 strokes, there's not a lot of them out there, but it has probably the crispest throttle response, the most snap, I would say. I mean, it has a really good carbureted feel, and that isn't an area that would need to be improved much. But no. I would guess that would improve it.
Yeah, I would say.
Am I guessing right?
I would say you're in the right direction.
Right in the right direction, right? So yeah, I'm thinking correctly.
Yes.
If there was an area that I would want to have improved is maybe a little bit more in the upper mid into top and then over rev.
I'd say you're going in the right direction.
Right, going in the right direction. So we should expect when you write the story, you would be talking about improvements in that area. I'm just guessing.
I would think that, yeah, based on everything I've seen and looked at, and yeah, that should be where it would be going.
Yeah. Is the pipe changed? Exhaust?
No exhaust changes, no motor changes, no jetting, nothing. Just
airbox.
Just airbox from the performance standpoint.
So if you're comparing it to your bike's jacked up.
A little bit, yes. It is now. Mine's not completely stock, but yeah. My changes the changes to my personal bike kind of fall in line with where I think the 2022 would go.
Actually, that's a good thing. They read your mind and they made a better bike for you.
Yes. They must have checked out dirtbiketest.com.
Yeah. Does your dad have his checkbook out yet?
He does not. Unless
he
it's
does
for my
not.
brother. If it's for my brother, maybe, but not for me.
Okay. You gotta ask Logan about how to get your dad to pull the checkbook out, because Logan's got a new 300 TPI.
Oh wow!
I don't even have one of those.
What's the secret, Logan?
Convince him to buy one.
Yeah, see, that's it. Just straightforward. That's it. Just convince him to buy one. Just tell me. What's your brother's going to get a 125 though, right?
He's getting pretty close. He just got big wheels for his 85, so.
Oh.
Give him a year or two, he'll be on 125.
Yeah, you need to get you need to get a 125 for him. That's that I would do. But we need to get one for me. We, meaning you, need to get one for me because mine's old. So you figure that out.
If I get my hands on one, I don't know if I can let go of it.
Yeah, well, we'll have to.
At least.
We can arm wrestle for it. It's always been a good fair thing. Want to arm wrestle me?
Maybe.
That's how Super Hunky used to win shit. Usually beer, but anyways.
I'd lose in that one for sure.
All right, on Trevor. Anything else exciting that we need to look at up on the website?
There we go again. 24-hour coming up. We have Yamaha 450 FX team, and we now have a Beta 250 RR Race Edition team.
No way. Hey, somebody on the chat room wants to buy a 250 RR.
No,
They bought one already.
Yeah, they bought one already.
Oh, are they loaning it to us for the 24-hour test?
If we can ask
Nice
them.
break.
I think there's
Yeah,
chat.
well,
Yeah.
we can help. We can help them put a nice smooth 24 hours. That's the vet guys. That would be your dad, Brent Farrell,
Yep.
Robert Bear.
Yep.
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 Who else? Who's the next guy?
Todd Davis.
Oh, those pussies are gonna go with 6 dudes.
They're trying to find 7 if they could.
You can have 7 at the 24-hour now.
No, but they might.
Okay, if it rains that night, give me a call. Yeah, I'm around. When is it? How many weeks?
You might be in Rebel, but it's the 9th and 10th of October. 2 weeks.
Oh, that's coming up quick. Yeah, I will
Yeah.
be in Rebel, so I can't help you. Yeah. Cool. And then, so who's on your 450FX team?
Myself, Tyler Belknap, Chance Fullerton, and Thomas Dunn.
Whoa.
So
That's a
Thomas,
solid-
like he races for Purvine's Yamaha at Big Six and works and stuff. So he's super fast. And then Chance is always good. And we got Tyler step up for the 450.
Are you going to put a new tire on that 450FX? Because last time I ride it, I was kind of pissed because you had a worn out tire.
I put one on for the works race this weekend, and then they ran us through some rocks, and I lost traction a couple times, and so I burned it off. So I needed a new one.
You know, Logan, you know how he talks about losing traction and it involves
Yeah.
like what does it involve? Yeah, what's
traction spinning tire?
traction spinning tire, but what aids traction?
Buh.
Starts with a B.
Buh.
Balance.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah. See, even Trevor knows.
Speaking of
I
balance,
mean, even Logan knows. Yes.
speaking of balance, Rick said he'll loan his new 250RR for a couple classes, maybe.
He'll loan it. Oh, if he can get a
Maybe.
couple classes.
Yeah, maybe. He said maybe.
I'm not going to take that. These
So
guys.
my dad would be all up for that.
I told your dad. I guaranteed him 30 seconds a lap at like an SRA. No,
Yep.
20 I think it was 20 seconds a lap in an SRA if he took my
Yep.
class. Because that's a different. Because if I go out there, I could probably, if I went to an SRA, how many seconds could I put on him in a lap? We don't talk about racing unless it's about me, by the way, Logan.
Yes.
Okay, so if me and your dad were riding an SRA, okay, how many seconds does Gordon Ward put on your dad a lap?
Right close to a minute.
Okay, so I'm 10 seconds off of Gordo right now, I think. I don't know, haven't been out, haven't really been, but so I think I can bring your dad up like 30 seconds a lap. In with, he has to come and take my basic riding class, and then all of a sudden he'll realize for however long we've been racing together, which is we're talking like
Long time.
almost twice Logan's age, that's what he was doing wrong. And he'll say, is that easy? I wish I would have known this 36 years ago, 32 years ago, something like that.
Well, Trevor learned something from your class, didn't he? Well, your private class.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Did any of that stuff we were working on? Because he hasn't taken the basic one either. We were just working on a specific technique. Is any of that stuff working?
I try as much as I can to think about it, whether I'm racing or riding, whatever, and implement it. I did have a question though.
Okay. I can answer 9 out of 10 without referring to a reference manual, but Logan gets the first shot.
So you
So the
always
question-
say like I'm out of balance, right?
Correct.
So like when I'm like coming into a corner and I'm braking, do I always want the bike to be like straight up and down? Yeah, like you don't want it at an angle at all, right? Or am I way off on that?
You want it straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
Yeah, braking is done in a straight line.
And then
Real
leaning
braking is done in a straight line.
Okay.
Like you can pretend like you're braking in like while the bike's out of line or in a turn or leaned over, and you're just pretending.
Yeah. Okay.
So
More.
and then
Oh, that's
so
it.
you well, and even at a guy at your level, when I'm sitting there working with you, I want you to separate the things. I want you to accelerate when you're in a straight line, brake
Yep.
when you're in a straight line. For the most part, braking is more critical than acceleration, because if you're accelerating properly, your front wheel's off the ground if you're accelerating properly, and so depending on which way the bike is pointing, what may look like a straight line is a little bit different than what actually is a straight line. So, I mean, we can get into the crazy physics of it, but then we'd have to implore Matt, and he would like want to get a whiteboard out and use math. But it's more important when you're decelerating or you're slowing down using the brakes that you're in a straight line, because at that point, all your weight's on your front end. And if you're not in a line and you actually get all your weight on your front end and your rear end's light, then it's going to want to track out of line, and it's no longer a straight line, because the way the force is at that point, then you would have to actually initiate some lean into it. And I haven't really seen too many dirt bike guys that are really good at lifting the rear wheel up off the ground, keeping it there, and then initiating a lean to make the line straight, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Cause so all the force is still pointing at the front tire and not trying to take out the traction. So we got some stuff to work on, Trevor. We'll start with making sure that you know how to get on the bike and not knock it out of balance.
The learning process.
Yes. Hey, well, thanks for joining us tonight. You don't have your gold medals on display or anything like that?
I do not. I don't have many of those. So maybe some silvers or bronze, but not many
Right.
gold.
See what I got up here behind me? Look at that.
A lot of gold medals.
Gold medals. Yeah. That's where I get my credibility from. I'm going to buy some more pretty soon because 4 is not enough. So, okay. Well, we will see you in the near future, and everybody look forward to Trevor's report on the 2022 Yamaha YZ250F. And then when do we get to ride the 125?
They are saying October, hopefully.
October.
Hopefully October. You may be in Rebel though, so if that's the case, I'll make. We'll make
I'm
sure I have.
I'm sending. If I'm not there, Logan and Matt are coming. 100%. Those guys are showing up for that one.
If it's a 125,
Because Logan's the target audience for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's all 300 bro guy now, but like we'll bring him back down to reality here pretty soon.
Doesn't he know 125s are the best for developing riders and talent?
Try to tell him that, but Dad didn't listen because he's sick of getting bikes blown up. He just went straight to 300.
How old is Logan?
15.
15.
I was on 125 back in my day. I was racing 125 till I want to say I was still racing the 125 at 18.
Yeah. See, Jimmy, you can try to think that, putting him on the big bike is going to do stuff, but how are those front wheels holding up? the kid will find a way to break them, no matter what. So we'll get him back on it. So, okay, right on. We're going to let you go. You probably got to get to, bedtime or reading hour or whatever you got over there. Smart people do.
Race your life.
Race your life. Okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon. See you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
See you, Trevor.
Okay. That's it. Now we need to go into the Rooster Ender section, right?
Rooster Endo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just making sure Taco Mike hasn't joined or anything.
Okay, we're not going to get to him this week. I can already tell you that right now.
Got it. So I can close this Zoom meeting then.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as it's not going to jack up the rest of the program.
I'm just going to keep it running. We're going to play it safe.
Hey, I saw a guy that made a nice long comment over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got...
That he is it a compliment or is it should I take a drink before I read it?
It's a compliment and I believe a question.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and while Logan's setting this up, Francis Cuddy says, Jimmy, I really appreciate your show and all the work you guys do. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Francis. I have a 2019 KTM 300 XC. Use it mostly for gnarly, rocky PA single track. That's Pennsylvania. I got a real good deal on the leftover XC. I know I should have got an XCW. No. I mean, I should have got an XCW, but we're not judging it. I do love the PDS bikes. Wow, you're strange, like me. Anyhow, I'm looking for more compliance out of the XC chassis. The bike is sprung and valved for my height and weight and terrain. It feels pretty good, but there is still this overall feeling of lack of forgiveness with the XC chassis. I know it's an MX bike. Curious what your thoughts are on swapping the XC swing arm for a TE swing arm. Doing some quick research, it looks like most of the parts on the triangle and pull rods are compatible between the two linkage bikes. Will the more compliant Husky Enduro swing arm reduce the stiff nature of the bike or will be a waste of time effort because the XC frame is overly engineered for my application? I know it's a ridiculous question. Your insight is appreciated. That is not a ridiculous question. That's a guy that knows what he's talking about, knows the parts, knows the feels he's getting. But so I'm going to kind of go back, and I hate to be the guy to answer a question with a question, but I want to know, Francis, like what you have done already. So a couple of things that I would try would be to make sure all of the torques on your engine mount bolts, especially the engine hangers, those are the ones that go from the frame up to the cylinder head, that all those, the swing arm pivot specifically, just check all the torques of all those bolts and make sure they're good. Because I've seen them when they're too tight and when they're too loose, both make the chassis not feel well. And then you can always loosen the torque like by 15 or 20% on the engine mount bolts and see if it makes a change. And swing arm pivot as well. You have to mind them. I would always make sure I put Loctite on them so they don't come loose. But mind them and see if that makes a change. And that's something you can feel. Also, the pinch bolts on the fork clamp, on the fork clamps, make sure that those are to the proper torque. And some riders are good enough to feel this. Others, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. But try that. That would be step one. Step two, if you want to, try drilling some holes in that head stay. Literally, like start with small ones, like a 1 millimeter hole. Okay, how's that wood shop going, Logan? You're not using tools yet? You're still filling out the safety documentation? Your dad didn't sign your permission slip to use a chainsaw yet.
We don't actually have those permission slips.
Oh, you don't have those. So anyways, try drilling a few holes. And if you want to know kind of how we did it on a CR450 RX. We drilled some small holes, and there's an article someplace on Dirt Bike Test that explains it. You're going to scratch up my bitchin' table, aren't you? Look at this here. Good. I'll just hang on to it because I have nothing better to do. How am I going to answer this question?
I think you were on your way, and then we got distracted.
Yeah, Logan blew this place up. So there's that. That sometimes helps. I would even suggest, if you want to do just a real drastic measure, find like a little loop of someplace where your bike doesn't feel that good. Take the damn head stay off. Just take it off and ride around. See if you notice this, and just say, okay, that made a big difference or it didn't. Hey, I've been on tests where we do this stuff. Like this is what we do. But even more so, I know that the forks have gotten, a lot better. It's not like the old is the 2019, it's Air, isn't it? I believe it's Air.
I think so.
So, but it wasn't like the old 4C forks that we're doing different things. But I would try also. So another thing you can do, put the damn head stay back on. If it works really good, there's got to be some aftermarket options out there. You never want to take it all the way off, but just a feel. But try making a drastic increase in the amount of compression on your fork and your shock. So like 4 to 5 clicks. Like go stiffer on it and see if that actually helps. Because a lot of times on KTMs, I find that stiffening the compression, which especially on the fork is more like a mid-speed, actually gets the bike to ride up higher and makes it act a little bit softer and more plush. But the like you said, the feeling of the swing arm, that's an option, but that's a very expensive option. I don't know how much of it. I've never tested that, so I can't really tell you. And I don't know. I've never spoke directly with anybody who tried that test back and forth. I've heard some guys have done it, but I'd have to talk to them because I want to ask them specific questions. Another thing you might want to try is there's 2 companies, Fast Company and another company called Mako, that make foot pegs that have dampening pads in them. Now, I know that your boot has a dampening pad in them, but maybe that contact point you're feeling, that's an option. And then also flex bars or the Mako mount up top can also, because you think about where you're touching the bike and where you're feeling the shock coming from. I've always said with flex bars, which I run on all my bikes, flex bars make bad forks feel good. And they also do the same thing with chassis. Some of that jarring that you get out of the chassis is reduced through the dampers in the bars. So those would be before I would go to the swing arm, I would go to those things. One's very simple, free, no cost, and then you can kind of see what it does. And then there's some stuff that costs a few bucks here and there, but that's what I would try. So yeah, good long question.
But there's a lot of good questions in the chat, but I've been saving them for.
Oh, you're saving them for next time?
No, I'm saving them for.
Oh, the chat roulette wheel?
Yeah, the chat roulette, or checking in with chat, or.
Yeah, we got to come up with these names. If you can figure out a name for this for the segment, and then hopefully you're a small or a medium T-shirt, we'll hook you up with a T-shirt.
Yeah. Which I think we still owe one to San Felipe Bob.
What did he win? He won the Preston Campbell one?
Preston
He's
Campbell.
got to come and pick it up.
Okay, that sounds good.
Or I got to deliver it to him, one or the other. Okay, Logan, where are we at with these bikes?
Just Gent. 2013 350
Dude, it looks like one of my bikes.
EXCF. Just the 350.
Can you say the name again for me?
Jesse Gent.
Oh, Jesse G. He was another winner of the Preston Campbell shirt.
Yeah. It's funny because this looks like one of my bikes.
It does, right?
It's really close.
HDB handguards, flatland racing skid plate, enduro engineering brake disc guard, a Cherubi's 5.3 gallon tank, Baja Design Squadron XL light, Dunlop 606 tires, enduro engineering seat.
So it's like it's exactly like some of my bikes, except every part is from a different company.
Correct.
So he didn't mention the side cover, the protector, the clutch cover protector, which it's funny. That's what I recognize because I have ones from UFO and I also have ones from a Cherubi's on a couple of our different rental bikes and everything like that. But that's like it's like exactly how I would set up a bike, but completely different. So it's going to go way the hell up here because you can do the same thing with different brands.
Even with that helmet? What kind of helmet is that?
I didn't look at the helmet. I'm looking at the bike.
I think it's an
It's
O'Neill.
in the picture.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a One Industries.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
no,
one.
you're right. Yeah.
What's wrong?
One
I
Industries helmet.
have my O's mixed up.
Hey, those used to be Heather's favorite helmets. They fit her really well.
They haven't made one for like 10 years, have they?
Okay, so it's out of date. We're gonna lose one viewer the next time he crashes. I wish we had a helmet company sponsoring this and we'd give him a free helmet. But we
Mine
don't.
makes helmets.
That's okay. Yeah, that's a good. It's not the best bike, right? It's kind of like, but it's up there.
I mean, he made the helmet the centerpiece. Of course, we got to make it part of the big. Come on.
That's the only picture he had of his bike. Like he's there watching our show, and it's like, oh, I got to send a picture of my bike.
It's an old helmet.
Okay, this. What do we got here, Logan? This is a KTM 790.
Mike Neagle.
Mike Neagle.
2021 890R Rally.
This is not an inexpensive motorcycle. This is the KTM one that they put all. It's like the factory edition of the rally bikes.
Yeah.
So you should have just left it stock.
Loving
but oh
it,
no.
Loving it so far. Compliments my EXCs well.
Also, he did leave it stock. He has different mirrors on. I can see from the picture. I don't know what kind they are. They almost look like a double take knockoffs.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Not
You're
really
right.
sure. Is one of your buddies running his stereo outside, Logan? Can you hear that thumping?
Yeah.
What happened to the Willie boys? Did we scare them away?
Well, we followed one here, buddy.
Oh, really?
We literally followed one here.
Yeah. Wow.
The Wheelie Boys right by
We
my
raced
house.
us.
What was he on? What kind of bike?
I think it was a WR.
A WR.
WR 250 would be my best guess.
Huh.
I couldn't catch him. He raced us, even though.
He raced in the truck? Yeah.
I
Good.
was just driving. But
Yeah. Okay. These are really nice bikes. That's a good bike. It goes. It's. You know what's his name?
Mike Neagle.
Hey, Mike. You know what? It's almost as good as a Tenere 700. Yamaha. it's
Lucre.
that's a good bike. Yeah, it goes right up there someplace. Is our next? Where's our next one?
Top.
This one on top here. This is a Jason Kauzularch. Yeah, I say that right, Logan? You're going to correct me, I'm sure. Jason Kauzularch. Whoa, look at that racehorse.
2019 KTM 300
What?
EXC.
The stand says it's a Husqvarna.
I noticed that too.
Stan says it's a Husqvarna.
But it's orange, so
It's not
It's-
orange. It is blue.
I think it's red. The stand's red, but the bike's like the bike. You can't even tell what color it is. So it's a KTM.
Recluse Radius CX,
That's good.
Klin 38 millimeter air striker carb.
What kind of carb? Kian.
Can.
Yeah.
7K machine rock, monster air fork valving, RK tech head.
So he's done the carb jetting and the head, which can really liven these bikes up. He has this logo of this goat on his muffler and on his radiator thing. I don't know where I've seen that logo before. It's funny because somebody handed me that sticker at one point or other, so I'm fascinated a little bit by that. But that's a nice looking bike, but he's not showing his KTM pride very well. He's really hiding that KTM pride, and for that I think you're gonna pay the price for trying to. Like, if I would have looked at this, I would not have known whether it was a KTM or a Husky, because once you change all the colors, I kind of forget, even though they do have different shapes.
I was gonna say I can tell that it's a KTM just based off the shroud and the fender.
It could be a gas though.
No, those have totally different fenders.
They have totally different fenders too.
Yeah.
But you could bolt the gas fenders on the KTMs and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like it's like the good thing is if you don't know how to identify these days on your KTMs, you can get along. You can go a long ways out. So it's on the lower end of the scale here. I'll post that up. We can start working on the next one.
Michael.
This is a and we don't judge here. This is a transgender KTM.
I had one of those.
Really?
It was
At your age?
gray.
Oh, because you kids are trying to control everything now. You're trying to control the discussion. You can't just leave it on.
Trying to improve
Where's my picture?
Michael Pounds.
Oh, I know this year.
2007 KTM 200 Woods Ripa.
Woods Ripa. So this guy. Is there any of the word? Is the word Massachusetts in there any place?
No.
If he threw, yeah, that's a mass hole, right? Is he say he's a member of the good club with the bad name?
No.
Nope. He should be. If he threw Ripa out there,
Right.
yeah. Okay, keep going.
Old school kickstart only. Changed the seat and resprung for my weight.
Dude, this thing's Ripa. I've got one of these for sale, I think, maybe, allegedly. I don't know. I'm trying to get rid of my 200s and replace them with... They need to grow up into 300s. That's some big trees for Massachusetts. So I don't think it's Massachusetts. I don't know. It almost looks like Hawaii. Well, no, the trees are a little too big for Hawaii. It looks like it's got a homemade skid plate of some sort on there. And but I have this exact bike. I got it to race the Red Bull Last Man Standing. And we did a story on it in Dirt Rider magazine. And I finished, actually. I was like one of 5 or 6 finishers on. Basically, I got the bike, played around with the suspension, got it working, had Baja Designs hook me up with some lighting for it, threw probably some handguards on it, and a Chirby's handguards, and sent it. And it finished. Yeah. Good bike. It's right. Good solid bike anywhere around here. It's a little more on the roost side. Because look at how old it is, and it's still stock. It's safe. Safe bets.
But no e-start.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. But then there's nothing to go wrong. Like, I know this guy that has a Husaberg 300 that has an e-start on it.
Yeah.
And I see him kicking it all the time. I
Right.
think he must do that for exercise.
Word on the street is that he actually likes trying to exercise his right leg.
You're gonna walk in a circle
next.
Sean Elliott.
Sean Elliott.
2018 KTM 690. Suspension set for my 300 pounds. Scott steering stabilizer.
That's good.
Seat concepts tall seat.
Seat concepts.
Lowering kit.
Look, wait. Tall seat lowering kit.
Must have went to the school.
We wouldn't tell him to put a lowering kit. We tried to get him to take it off.
The tall seat with
The lowering kit. Is it foot peg lowering kit or is it like lowering kit like lowered suspension?
Don't know.
He is in the chat.
It's a lowering kit, like tall seat and then lowering kit. I mean, I agree with the going with the tall seat because you're going to get more, leg room. But the lowering part is just confusing the hell out of me because these bikes are already kind of like they're kind of squatted to begin with. But I'm going to have to throw out a disclaimer that I am probably this bike's least fanboy. I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's got a bitchin' single cylinder motor in it and stuff, but it's kind of like it's just a confused. It's sort of like another kind of a transgender bike. It's trying to be all street bike and all dirt bike at the same time, but you can't figure out what it really is.
Yeah.
Gender dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
So who do we blame? The manufacturer or the rider for buying it? I mean, let's throw some blame here.
He did add that it now has DBT stickers. And
Actually, oh, okay, that's good. And now I gotta, now because I'm saying those words we just said, I'm probably gonna get banned off of one of these platforms that we're on. But we're talking about bikes because we don't understand. I mean, anyways, back to the facts.
dropping
ABS.
the board.
Logan, you got to fix this, along with learning how to lock containers and change tires.
ABS dongle, side stand dongle, OS dongle, rally pack.
Well, if it's got a lot of dongles, we can kind of figure out what it is, right? Like if you got a dongle, what are you? You're a KTM 690 that needs dongles.
Undetermined.
What the fuck is a dongle?
I have them on my 1090 and 1190.
What the fuck is a dongle?
It makes it so the ABS doesn't turn it back on. Keeps the ABS off.
Oh, it's electronic.
It's a little plug. It's basically a plug that fakes your bike out. Yeah, the dongle is a plug that fakes your bike out. It can make it think that it's the exhaust is clean and all the other stuff. Has a recluse clutch sticker on the clutch.
Not seeing it yet.
Only forgot it, or you just bought the sticker. He has a DBT sticker on it, which makes it rad.
Rally peg, Cyclops headlights, handlebar bag for cords and chargers, moose tool, kit bag, rear rack, Sakine, tail light.
Sick ass.
Spoke skins?
Oh, but he says Sakine. Yeah, that's, you said it right. Oh,
Do I see spoke skins?
I see
Yeah,
spoke
there's
skins.
spoke skins.
Okay, can,
So I got a question because I have never done spoke skins because I would deem them like unnecessary. But they do make the spokes look orange. Do you slide them onto the spokes individually, or do you actually they pop on or something like that? No clue.
They pop on.
Oh, so Sean he commented he's got the Kuba link on there. So Kuba links are great ways to easily lower your bike. Not to say that hey you can do whatever you want with your bike, but I always ask like, why are you lowering it? Because you don't ride with your feet on the ground. So I find that's why I wasn't. I understand the taller seat, and he's probably doing that more for comfort, or maybe he does have long enough legs where he could touch the ground, but he wants to touch the ground easier, or maybe he better balance. Yeah. So it's anything goes here.
Giant loop, Great Basin bag for holds a bottle of wine for Heather and a bottle of tequila for Jimmy. These saddlebags and contents differentiate this bike from others.
Differentiate.
Yeah.
So Sean did bring Heather and I. See, it just goes to show you that buttering up the host of the show doesn't really go far. But he did legitimately pull out a really nice bottle of tequila and a really nice bottle of wine for Heather and I out of those things. But I think he had the external holders. I don't remember because somebody else brought me a bottle of something that was literally in a purpose-built like external holder on a.
no, I'd be down with
on a soft saddlebag. It's just like, so the idea is you just go to the store at your last stop and you slide something, a little something in there and get away. But Sean sent us, what did he send us last time? A XR400 or no, CR450X. And I beat him up there too. Poor Sean. I'll bet you after his class, he's thinking, see, he says right there, he says he needs to take.
He needs more classes. Yep.
Yeah. So it has the recluse clutch. So see, I told you, I looked right through that thing. No, I looked at the sticker. But yeah, he's done all the things to it. But I'll bet you he's going to get rid of that lowering link pretty soon because after taking the class, his riding will undoubtedly improve. Magically, he won't really ever need to put his foot on the ground anymore. And for that, this bike is still a KTM 690, and it's going to go, it's teeter-tottering onto, he's such a nice guy, gave me tequila. It's going up here. It's a good night tonight. A little more on the roof side. How was the Hotel California, Matt? Pretty good?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite.
I actually liked it tonight. I thought it was good. It went good with the Ramiro's tacos that we had.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to chat room roulette.
Chat room roulette.
I saw that.
Jimmy's Jeopardy was another idea.
Jimmy's Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that I review and research all the questions that come in the regular thing because I have at least 3 or 4 minutes to look at them before I come on this show. Yes. So these ones came in live. I'm glad that Victor's here. Victor was a special guest at our last show. Rode his Africa Twin here. Then we sat out in the front yard and talked Africa Twin for a little while. And do I know of a right ride kickstand for the Africa Twin? Is that Spanglish? Because I'm tired of everything lately leaning to the left. Oh, right side kickstand. Interesting, Victor. Because no, I don't know of that, but I know a couple companies that actually make this thing that's like a portable kickstand. So in case you need to make your bike act like it has a center stand to change a tire, they make a thing. And I wish I knew the companies offhand, but you can easily research them. It's like an auxiliary kickstand that will, and you could actually lead your bike over to the right side, so it doesn't lean left like all of our political views these days. Next question.
Dirt bikes and dirt bike related products.
Yep.
Okay, so what was that? Brendan Springer Davis. I need to turn this.
Okay.
Actually read a little bit. I have a small bog just off idle on my 19 300 XCW. I am second owner, and it appears someone may have adjusted the power valve. Would this cause a bog? Slavin's flashed get ECU maps, injector relocator, I'm guessing.
So, Brendan, I would say with 95% certainty that the fact that your injector relocated and flashed ECU are different than stock, that your bog is related to that. I always say go back to the source, go back to what has been changed, what is changed. And so, and in my experience, the biggest complaint I have with all of these different ECUs and flashing and all this tuning and stuff is this, what I call drivability, but it's really low-end throttle response. It's the kind of throttle response where we normal humans, regular riders, ride the bike most of the time, but none of these dyno magic tuners ever see, ever. They don't even consider it because it doesn't show up on a damn dyno chart. And I'm blown away when I'm riding around on my KTM 500 or when I'm riding some borrowed KTM 300. I'm blown away at the RPMs that I'm turning. It's like lower than idle sometimes. And I'm expecting the bike to pull and continue. And then when I roll it on, I want it to respond. And I don't have this big dyno wheel that's spinning because, you know, that's causing the inertia, and they never really get a read down there. So how can they jet and tune for it? And they don't jet and tune on deceleration. And then when they come right back on, it's imagine if you're on a dyno, you're tuning and you're tuning on a hill because the dyno wheel is like loaded and you've got the wheel loaded up against it, and then you let off the throttle, and all of a sudden now you're going downhill because this wheel is spinning and pushing you down the downhill. And so when you come on the gas, You're on like a downhill until it can put the load back on the motor. And if you're taking, you're not going to be taking any power reading in that because it's not real. But if you're trying to get a throttle response out of that, and I've seen guys try to fake it by using the brake on the dyno wheel and stuff like that, and it never ever replaces actual real world riding. And so many of these guys, they're so worried about what they're getting up here, the peak horsepower numbers and the increase in torque and this and that, they forget we're actually riding the bike. So your problem is most likely coming from that somehow or another. I would put it all back to stock and find out if the bike, if you can get it back to totally stock, put it back totally stock and see how you like the bike then, and then make a decision on what you would like to do next. And if you're missing that top end power that you're getting with the tuned thing, somebody needs to start, the customers, you people need to start talking to these tuners and say, you know what? It needs to work down here, because every single time I get on these things, this is the problem. And this is why you don't see us testing or writing about a lot of them most of the time. I mean, I have a Vortex ignition on one of my KTM 500s right now that's actually pretty darn good, but it's not as good as stock where I ride the bike most of the time. So it's on one of the bikes that I use for rally riding, because you're on the gas a lot more, and for sure it runs better up there. But anytime I'm, doing technical stuff, I go, oh, this bike. I literally go, oh, this bike. So anyways, okay, long rant to thank you, Brandon. That's a good question.
George did suggest that you bring on the Acherbys sexy shirt out.
Oh, the Acherbys sexy shirt.
Yes.
Is for a special segment?
Whatever segment you want it to
Well,
be.
let's
It's the segment that Logan and I should close our eyes for.
Let's
though.
talk to Acherbys. I have pitched the show at Talon Volan before, and I think he wanted. I don't know what he wanted. I know Brian over at Acherbys would like to help us out. He knows I'm an Acherbys guy. I literally, Franco Acherbys saved me from a life of slavery. Long story.
Francis Cudby, he put that question in actually twice.
Okay.
Let's see. Power, we have a kid. So this is from Justin Smith. We have a kid in our Wyoming race series who races schoolboy expert on a KX100 and typically places in the top 10 overall, sometimes top 5. This is when we were talking about how power doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Or his power.
Hey, it's the cool thing about motorcycles is that the rider can overcome so much of the ability. The rider is so important in the whole factor of it. And that's why I think when these guys that are racing at high levels now start having problems, they turn into head cases because they don't want to admit, they want to blame the bike, and they don't want to admit it's probably them. And then if they can't get the bike working right, it's, I don't know. A lot of times it's like just the right people aren't around them to get the bike tuned properly to work for, exactly for them. And then a lot of times they start blaming the bike, and then they start changing the bike. And that's not really the problem. It's a lot of times you could just adapt. The rider can just adapt a little bit. But in racing now, a lot of these guys, you can't fake fit anymore. You can't, because you can override a certain amount of fitness with natural ability and luck, but you can't fake it anymore. And a lot of these guys are putting so much time and work and effort into it and they're riding so hard that they have to trust their bike. And the minute you imagine something like that you really trust does something wrong, then you don't trust it anymore. Then you become a head case. So
there we go. Rick Liberson just kind of touched on it. He said we inspired him. No, you inspired him to buy a 2022 Beta 250 RR.
He should have bought a Yamaha YZ250.
Blue Crew.
Yeah, but that's okay. No,
Hey, have we talked about their 4 strokes tonight, or just the 2 strokes?
Just 2 strokes.
Do you know anything about 4 strokes, Logan?
Yes. They are for motocross riders driven to dominate. The Yamaha YZ line of 4-stroke bikes are built for victory. Visit YamahaMotorsports.com today to explore what's new and improved for 2022. The YZ450F and YZ250F bring the performance and powerful 4-stroke engines, reduced unsprung weight, and new suspension settings. For the full factory ride look, both the YZ450 and YZ250F come in exclusive Monster Energy Yamaha Racing Editions graphic package. And you can take precision tunability to the next level with the Yamaha exclusive and industry's only free power tuner app. Visit YamahaMotorsports.com today. Find your Yamaha YZ and enter Victory Zone.
Yeah, Rick, you don't get a free power tuner app with that beta. Yep. Okay, next
Even though
one.
you inspired him to buy it.
I know. Well, I can change my mind.
All right. From
No, the betas are good bikes. I'm not gonna.
From Facebook user, the fuel pump in the 390, the bike is essentially orange Baja.
Baja.
I remember I looked it up. I totally forgot to pronounce it. Built in India from the Baja parts bin, and the pump in that one is its own unit from the 15 plus 250/390 Duke derivatives. If he wants to replace the motor unit, he might consider the Chinese Quantum as a low-cost and mostly reliable alternative to OEM.
I think Facebook user is Taco Mike.
I believe so.
Yeah, because I saw a Facebook user made another question that had another thing up there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's like I said. Did I say something like that? I just took a lot longer.
I believe so, but also that tequila made me a little sleepy. So
No, it's this show. Yeah.
I helped put this show on. I better not be falling asleep
Yeah.
from it.
Oh, it's the host and his co-host.
Yes.
I'm surprised Logan doesn't fall asleep like Bob does. Oh, don't worry, it was the drugs.
So let's see here.
Yeah, good podcasting.
Good
here.
podcasting here, right?
Logan, this is
Right?
when you go because Matt's like he should have had this on point. You got to figure out a way to
have
cut
that
and
point.
paste those things and just drop them into the other document.
Oh, there is a way to do that. I just
Okay,
haven't been
don't-
doing that.
Well, don't. Logan keeps hot chicks for what?
Oh, Logan keeps hot chicks to put on for the front seat and facing rear.
Right. Yeah. See, everybody knows your technique now. That's
Yeah.
old. I was
Should
gonna.
be-
So, what do you got coming up, Logan? What's big news in Logan's next couple weekends?
Riding pit bikes and working for Jimmy Lewis.
I
I heard homecoming.
Yeah. Were you wanting something else than that answer?
When are you riding pit bikes?
Every day after school, waiting for Dad to get home.
Okay. What? Where do you have a pit bike track?
Oh, I just build them in lots next to my house.
Right. Are they watered?
No.
Are you making dust on your neighbors?
No.
You sure?
This is a good part of town. We don't make
You don't make dust.
not in our part of town.
Okay.
I mean, with a big bike, you would.
The big bike. Okay, so the little bike doesn't make dust. How come our flat track isn't watered? That's kind of what I want to know.
Because I like to make right-hand turns and left-hand turns.
We
at
go
the same
both ways
time.
here, around this flat track.
Yeah.
Yeah. How tall is your girlfriend?
5'10".
5'10". Okay. Taller than you, right?
Wait. So last week it was he doesn't have a girlfriend.
Oh, it's
No.
1 week. A lot of things change, Matt.
Oh, to be 15 again.
Yeah. Next question. Let's get on to this.
Let's see, so,
we can get everybody
Rick-
out of here.
Rick Lieberson did bring up that he bought the Beta 250 RR before we had Blue Crew going on here.
I don't, Rick. I don't hate you. In all honesty, you know this, and regular viewers of the show know this. Like, I love our sponsors. Our sponsors make this possible, but it's never going to get in the way of me telling you the truth. And I will make jokes about stuff like this, but there's most of the bikes out there are really good. The biggest thing you can do is buy the wrong bike for yourself. And if you're liking that bike that you bought, then hopefully when we tested it, we described it so you could say, hey, that's for me or that's not for me. And that's the idea here. It'd be awesome if we had every manufacturer sponsoring us. And if they did, then I'd probably have more guys test riding bikes and we could get more information. But right now it's a skeleton crew, and Matt's in here all the time trying to figure out how to make me sound better and trying to teach Logan how to spell or read or whatever Logan does.
I'm still confused. It just says Hotel California on the bottle, Logan. I'm not seeing the
You didn't-
the
Really
California.
not that tricky.
You guys didn't practice that. Hey, pretty soon pretty soon on our website, I'd like you to know that we've partnered with Rocky Mountain MCA TV, and we are going to start having some click-through links there. I know all you guys are buying parts. I have never had, and I buy parts from everywhere. The quickest service as far as getting the parts here. They have the most complete selection of stuff, and especially OEM parts. I'm always buying an OEM stuff to fix a lot of our rental bikes and different little projects I have. They have easy-use parts finders. It shows up here in a day, and you can't beat that. And plus, they have all the aftermarket stuff. And pretty soon, we're going to have some kind of custom-built pages and click-through links that you can go through on our website. So don't be afraid to help this show out, our site out, by clicking through those when it gets up there. That's Matt's current new favorite job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. One of many.
Yeah. He's playing with guns in his spare time. And
Yeah,
Bob's waving his hand.
Rocky Mountain has the very best customer service of
Yep.
anybody.
Yeah, that's what Bob says. Bob says they have the best customer service of anybody, and I tend to agree because out of the hundreds of packages that have come here, I've had to call customer service 2 times, and I think one was because they contacted me because a part that I got was kind of discontinued, and they were unable to get it, so they wanted to know what they could do. And another one was a fitment issue that on a seat cover that I'll say I was right, and they will say that they were right, and I managed to stretch the damn seat cover over the seat, even though I didn't think it was right. But hey, you consider how many parts I've ordered there, and in all honesty, they're doing an awesome job, and they seem to be one of the few places that has a lot of stuff in stock. So check them out.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are talking about how Rocky Mountain's
Yeah.
actually really good.
So yeah, but just remember when you start ordering, click through our links, and that'll keep me in tequila. It'll make me mean to Logan so he keeps going to school and becomes smarter, and then I can give Matt like these things. I think they're called paychecks.
I think so. I thought I saw one over there from you.
Yeah,
actually.
there is. There's a stack of checks over there because it's my end of the year and I have to pay you guys. You finally earned that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you finally, or you paid. So you don't know how this worked, but you paid Matt's traffic ticket because he took my truck and jumped some toll gates. Yeah, and then
Yeah, buddy.
and then you paid for me to fix all the mistakes. So it's all pretty good here. Okay, I think we're pretty good. We got most of the questions.
We got all the questions done out of the chat.
Victor
We got all
wants to know
questions
the
out.
name of that brand for that
And then
kickstand helper.
George actually put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's what George is there for.
So here, actually, I'm gonna.
Hey, George could be in studio next Tuesday night. We could have George in studio next Tuesday night. We could have we're working on a new segment. It's Captain Larry's safety segment. A friend of mine who is a longtime lifeguard, chief lifeguard down in deep Southern California, has retired. He's been to the school a couple times. Remember Larry? Larry Giles?
I've
Remember
heard of him.
Remember when we had the electric bike here? It was Emily's
Yes.
electric bike. So that's Larry.
Oh.
He's come to the class a couple times. He has volunteered to come on and give us some, safety tips, like emergency. When you have a little emergency safety thing, we'll kind of drum up scenarios, and I'm sure people will ask questions on how to handle this kind of stuff. But the one thing he told me today when we were talking about this, because I'm like, Larry, I don't have a plan for how we do things, which is how we do most of the stuff. And he goes, well, that's the first plan for failure is to not have a plan, especially when it comes to safety. So we will start educating you on that in the near future. Again, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. That would be Yamaha, Climb, DDC, Trail Tech, Scott Sports, and then Taco Mike with an asterisk next to it.
Negotiations are ongoing. I
Pending
just
that the
need to text
negotiations keep coming and going, because it's real easy, because we could just go talk to one of those other bald guys on the internet would probably sponsor this thing. If we talked about their products, whatever they are, right?
Well, we don't want.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose out to big time magazine guys, right?
Yeah, and we're going to cut out the big time mag, because that's the past. We're working on the future here. So with that, Logan, what do we say?
See you out on the trail.
Cheers, guys.